Well, Madam Deputy Speaker, I'm not sure which category I fall into, although I suspect I know. Can I firstly, though, begin by expressing my sympathy to all those victims of floods. Monmouthshire has been affected by this in the past, of course, and to all those who've helped with the clean-up. But can I take issue with the idea that all of this has been caused as a result of man-made climate change? I think it's very unfortunate that the two issues have been mixed up. The reality is that we have had very few debates about global warming and climate change. But climate change has been something that has been with us for thousands of years, millions of years, ever since the Earth was created. And I would urge the Minister to ask a few hard questions about those who, frankly, are showing a certain degree of hysteria about the issue of climate change. We know that over the last 2,000 years there have been periods of warming and cooling. It was warmer during the Roman period. It then got cooler during the Dark Ages. It was then warmer during the medieval period, probably than it is at the moment, and it then got cooler again until about 1680 during the so-called Little Ice Age. Now, one of the first questions that the Minister ought to find out the answer to is how much of the very small amount of warming that has taken place over the last 2 centuries, and it's about 0.8 degrees, how much of that 0.8 degrees is down to man-made carbon emissions, and how much of it is down to completely natural factors such as the warming that must have taken place as a result of coming out of the Little Ice Age. I've asked the question on many occasions, nobody's been able to give me an answer, but I think one of the former ministers is about to, so I happily give way.
95% of climate scientists seem to suggest that man-made climate change is the problem. And many of us would like my honourable friend to be right in his scepticism, because that means that everything will be okay. But unfortunately, 95% of climate scientists, such as the ones we met in the Royal Society the other day, disagree with him.
Actually, can I take issue with my honourable friend? And this 97% figure is floated around rather a lot, and I've done a bit of research. It appears to have come from something called the Zimmerman-Doran survey, which was sent out to 10,257 potential respondents who claim to be climate scientists. Only 77 actually responded, and 75 of them said, I'm a climate scientist and it's all down to man. Well, if any other honourable members know where that came from, they're welcome to let me know. What is interesting, though, is that the IPCC's most recent summary for policymakers has put out some very misleading statements as well. But on page 17 of the summary for policymakers 2013, they say it's extremely likely that more than half of the increase in global average set temperatures from 1951 was caused by man. But of course, out of that 0.8 figure that we have, only about 0.5 comes from the second half of the 20th century, meaning that if the IPCC are correct, then only just over 0.25 out of 0.8 is as a result of man, which means that more than half of it is due to other more natural factors. Another problem that we have, and the Honourable Lady may wish to ask about, is the lack of firm correlation between the increases in temperature and the increases in carbon emission. We know that even over the last 200 years, there has certainly been a sharp increase in CO2, but there hasn't been a sharp increase in temperatures. They've gone up, they've gone down. They were going down between 1910, they were going up between 1910 and 1940. They were then going down markedly between 1940 and 1977, leading many to think that we were on the brink of another ice age. From the mid-70s until 1997, yes, temperatures were rising, as was carbon emissions. But from 1997-98 until now, there's been a sharp increase in CO2, but no increase at all in temperatures. And yet another question, which the Honourable Lady may wish to ask about, is why that is so. Because I've had meetings with the Royal Society, with the Met Office. I recently asked this question of Professor Jim Skill, one of the IPCC lead authors, in a meeting that was held in public here in the House of Commons, chaired by Lord Debden. I asked him, why is it that there's been no increase in temperatures for the last 17 or 18 years? And he said, well, it's statistically insignificant. Which is a fair comment, actually. I mean, he wasn't trying to say that it was the oceans or the volcanoes or cooling or any of the other many theories that we've heard. He said it's statistically insignificant. And he may have a point about that. But if the last 17 years of no increase in temperature are statistically insignificant, then why are the 27 or so years before that of an increase in temperature so significantly, statistically significant, that we have to go ahead with all sorts of policies that are going to have a massive impact on homeowners and businesses in the UK? And my final point for the Minister, because I don't think anyone's going to be kind enough to intervene on me, although if anyone wishes to, I shall be more than happy to. Well, thank you very much indeed. I've been waiting. I give way to the Honourable Gentleman, because I always prefer the opposition, it's more fun.
Well, he's very generous in giving away. I just want to say, that we all in this House appreciate scepticism, and I'm sure his scepticism is sincere. The problem is that if he spreads this kind of nonsense, what happens is you give an excuse for people not to take action, and it gives comfort to those who wanted to do nothing about what is the biggest challenge facing humanity.
I appreciate the Honourable Gentleman's, I think, kind words, but may I just say, I'm just trying to raise questions. If the Honourable Gentleman wants me to go to my constituents and try and sell policies that are going to push up their energy bills, and that is going to make it more likely that some of them in manufacturing are out of work, I need to have the answers to questions which haven't been given to me yet. Why has there been no warming since 1997? Why is there no correlation over the last few hundred years? You know, what percentage of 0.8 degrees is down to natural factors? These are very important questions. Another one is, why is it, I will give way in a moment, but why is it that of the CO2 that's gone into the atmosphere, why is it that nobody's queried the fact that less than 5% is man-made anyway? People talk about CO2 as some sort of pollutant. It's a perfectly natural gas, and most of it is generated naturally from the earth and the sea.
The Honourable Gentleman.